Shawn Christopher Respert, born February 6, 1972. Today's feature is another up the lines of players and specifically prolific shooters I've been recently covering. In the early 90s, Respert was clearly one of the best players in the country as far as amateurs go. He has a top 100 career three-point percentage in the history of the NCAA and the best in the history of the Michigan State program. He had a big motor, killer stroke, confidence, and a passion for the game that was evident whenever he stepped on the floor, and even more in big games. He put his body on the line and played through injury almost his entire career and never made an excuse. He averaged more than 20 points per game in all but his freshman season, and as a senior, averaged a dominating 25.6 points per game. If it's one thing Shawn knew, was how to score the ball. For all his accomplishments, he was gifted with only lasting 172 games in the NBA. Why? Here we go. Salute to these guys for this highly requested feature. It's your boy JC, Stunted Growth. Let's get it, man. Stunt number 1, nagging injuries. Respert was a 6'3" shooting guard from Detroit, Michigan, and dreamed of playing on the big stage for his hometown favorite, Michigan State. He began his historic run for the program in the 1991-92 season as a redshirt freshman due to a torn ACL he suffered as a senior in high school. In the 90s, an ACL was considered a more substantial injury than it is in today's game. Many doctors weren't as familiar with it or knew the correct way to deal with it in effort to save your future 100%. Therefore, Respert had no choice but to play through the nagging injury for his entire college career. You may have seen him wearing the familiar old man knee brace to help him get through the games, but the knee injury was no small feat. Some days he felt as though he could barely walk. Other times he felt as though no one could stop him on the floor. From his redshirt freshman year, that's exactly what he's shown the world. He averaged 15 points per game. The only other freshman to average more was Magic Johnson. He also shot 45% from 3 that season while attempting over 4 a game. His free throws also proved that his three-point shooting wasn't a fluke at over 87%. Shawn was a flat-out bucket getter in his era, and when his knee and other injuries like his ankle and elbow, which is why he also wore that awful old man elbow brace, when these things felt great, that's how he played. I can't imagine the player he'd be had he been able to play in a healthy body. He'd definitely be talked about as an all-star right now, but this wasn't the worst of it for young 2-4. Stunt number 2, secretly beating the monster. Cancer, the leading cause of death every year worldwide. Shawn Respert beat that. Salute to him. He first noticed it in the summer following his rookie season in the NBA. He began feeling a sensitive sensation every time he put his clothes on, caused by the marble-sized spot under his belly button. He recalls saying it felt like he was on fire and needed to be tested immediately. Initial tests and further ones confirmed he did in fact have stomach cancer that needed to be taken care of that very moment. Respert had surgery and began his radiation and treatment journey. On his mind, the only thing he could ever think about was getting back to the game and continuing to build what he'd worked so hard to get. But that all wasn't so simple. He spent over 6 weeks away from working out, sleeping on the floor on his knees with his arms stretched across the bed and secretly holding it from everyone he could to keep it away from the NBA and the tough NBA media. He would lose 20 pounds in 3 months fighting the cancer. He even took a flight after one of his treatments to play in a summer league game on the West Coast. His team had just drafted Ray Allen, so Respert really wanted to remind the franchise that it wasn't a good idea to forget about him. That didn't work. He started feeling cramps that weren't going away. He would take pain pills, changed his diet, and that never seemed to help his situation. For 3 straight months, his condition didn't improve. Before this time, he was still enjoying success at State, where he averaged 20 points per game and shot over 40% from 3 again with 4 rebounds. His team wasn't very good with a 15-13 record as a sophomore, but there wasn't a better upcoming guard in the country. His quickness, creativity and scoring, mentality, all put him on a different level for his era. He was on bad teams, but he was unguardable. Stunt number 3, that took the wind out of me. As a junior, his team made the tournament, but lost to Duke 85-74, with Respert scoring 22 points to Grant Hill's 25. He finished with averages of 24.3 points a game, 4 rebounds, and had insane shooting percentages once again. Still hampered off and on by a poorly repaired knee. That's impressive. As a senior is where people really remember Shawn Respert and the scoring dominance he put on. But once again, his team didn't play deep into March, being eliminated in the first round. He averaged over 25 points a game, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and shot a career-high 47% from 3 while attempting, get this, 9 a game. I have no doubt in my mind that Shawn would've, could've, and should've had a better NBA career than he had. He was a first-team All-American, Big Ten, and National Player of the Year, and finished as the Spartans' all-time leading scorer. He left the program by kissing the floor, which was a new tradition he's credited for pioneering. Respert was drafted 8th overall by the Trailblazers. Oh no, right? He was then immediately traded to the Milwaukee Bucks, where he'd begin his career. As a rookie, he didn't get the opportunity he saw in college at just 13 minutes a game. He was still clearly affected by the nagging knee injuries and from the cancer that was building unbeknownst to him. In his second season, the team acquired Ray Allen in a draft night trade, and Shawn was quoted saying how that situation took the wind out of him. Knowing how good Allen was and that the team was clearly going in a different direction. All summer, dealing with cancer treatment and worrying about his future with the team as their number 8 pick a season ago, Respert decided he was going to give it all he got going into year 2. But his body just wasn't healthy enough to do so. His stamina, body aches, and injuries saw his career nosedive, while his replacement Allen was looking promising. By 1999, a stint in Toronto, Dallas, Phoenix, and never averaging more than 9 points a game and never seeing the shooting prowess he saw in the past, he was out of the league. He played a few seasons overseas where he was solid, inspired by the passing of his grandfather. He would step into a new role of player development and coaching ever since. A well-respected player, had a great college run, and made the best of a body that just never played well with his mind. He's been reluctant to talk about his story, but has been a lot more open about it recently, and I think it could help a lot of young players. Take care of your body, mind, and always try to keep a high frequency. Great player, but for these reasons, his growth was stunted. It's your boy JC, Stunted Growth, and I'm out.